After over 1,000 hours in Bannerlord, wiping out armies and sieging castles, I've decided to share some of my learnings with you all. Now, this guide is intended for the less experienced players. I will do another guide called the Intermediate Guide, for those of you looking to know some more detailed and intricate bits. Timestamps are in the description and on screen now if you want to jump to a specific tip. Leave a comment if you think I missed something or can expand on something I've already covered. So here we go into my 10 beginner tips for Bannerlord in 2024. Tip number 1. Be aware of what skills can be done by your companions and why we actually want to know what skills can be done by our companions. So if we look at what skills are available, or what skill subjects are available within Bannerlord, there are 18 different skills that you can master. Some of them very useful, some of them not so much. But the point is, my campaigns personally don't really exceed level 34 to level 35. I'm a very aggressive player, and by then we've either taken most of the map or all of the map, and it's kind of a done deal. So I like to make sure that every point, attribute point and focus point that I spend is actually bringing value back to my party and to my character. So the 4 skills that we can actually have done by somebody else, 3 of which are all at the bottom: Steward, Medicine, Engineering and Scouting. They can all be done by somebody else in your party. So if we go to the party screen, you can see there you have the option of assigning people to use their skills instead of your own. So for an engineer, I'm the best engineer currently because my engineer I believe is still on his way to my party because we got our butts kicked shortly ago. A surgeon, again we can see there's other surgeons here. My surgeon's currently out of action as well. Scout is currently out of action, and my steward is here. So that's your brother in game, your first brother that you get. So he's going to be the quartermaster, I'm going to be the scout, the surgeon and the engineer are still on the way back. Now, what this does is it frees up this bottom row. I don't have to put a single attribute point into intelligence, and I don't have to put any focus points into steward, medicine and engineering. I'll cover medicine in another tip shortly, but there is a reason there's a focus point in there. So that frees it up so I can have cunning, endurance and vigor as high as I want, so I can actually get to these juicy skills at the end. Now, every combat skill is basically, once you get past 275, every skill point above 250 gives you a percentage increase in speed and damage with those particular weapons. With your scouting, once you get past that point, it increases your overall party speed, so you can be lightning fast across the map. So they're the kind of perks that I'm looking for, I'm looking to get to, and the only way you can get there is if you've got, I think it's 8 or 9 points, attribute points in here. So I've completely abandoned control. I'm not interested in putting any points in there. I've completely abandoned intelligence. I might have to put a point or 2 in social, not sure yet, but primarily I'm focusing on these 3 areas. So it's important you understand that these 4 skills, can be done by somebody else. I'm doing scouting myself because I'm going to be in that cunning line anyway. But these intelligence skills can all be done by somebody else. So save yourself the focus points, save yourself the attribute points, let somebody else take care of it, and you can focus on becoming an absolute monster in combat. Tip number 2. Now, I said in the previous tip I'd explain why I did have 1 focus point in medicine, and that is purely for this little gem here, preventative medicine. Now, this I think you should have on all of your companions and family members. It is an absolute little gold mine, especially if you're in a fierce back-to-back war where you're in battle after battle after battle. It makes sure that your captains are there available to you and you're available to lead your troops at all times. So what does this do? Well, it gives you 5 hit points. It's okay in the grand scheme of things. It's not really going to make a world of difference. But it also gives you plus 30 recovery of lost hit points after each battle, which means if you get your ass knocked out, at the end of that battle, you will then regain 30% of your hit points and you will be available for the next fight. Now, 30% is the minimum hit points required to be able to command that fight, which means you won't have to auto-resolve. Auto-resolving in this game, if you haven't invested heavily into tactics, will cost you a lot of men. If not, it'll cost you a whole battle, because it depends on the terrain that you sat on and the experience of your troops as to whether or not you'll actually win. So being able to command your troops yourself, huge bonus. If you've got it on the captains of your infantry, archers, cavalry and horse archers respectively, they're also going to be available to involve themselves in the battle. They're going to lead their people, they're going to pass on their bonuses to their people, and the whole army is going to be stronger. There's nothing worse than attacking a castle, getting the siege camp actually attacked, you lose, you're trying to get away, you get into another fight, and even though you might have equivalent numbers, because all of your captains are still half unconscious from the assault of the siege camp, they're not there to command their men, they're weaker, you can't use your normal strategies, and you end up losing overall. So to prevent all of that, getting a quick 25 points in medicine is absolutely worth it for all of your party members. Now, the easiest way of doing this is if you go back into the clan screen we were looking at previously, into parties, into surgeon, and assign someone. I'll assign that person. And then grab yourself a bunch of recruits, go and fight a battle. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. You get medicine experience whenever somebody is injured or killed, or somebody's injured and then goes from injured back into normal again, or if you lose hit points and then top up your own hit points, or any sort of healing or recovery that you do, you get medicine experience for. So assign whoever you want who's not got the perk yet to the surgeon slot, grab yourself a hell of a lot of recruits, throw them into battles that they can win or not win, it doesn't really matter, and then take your experience points, get your perk, move on to the next one. If everybody's got it, it just makes the whole army just that little bit stronger and a little bit more resilient to repeated attacks or repeated battles. Tip number 3. You want to get yourself a decent start to your first campaign. So if you look at this, I've just started a new campaign now. I've got absolutely nothing. I'm in the training field. I'm going to show you how to get a few thousand dinars straight out the gate. First of all, head down to Poros. At the moment, your movement speed that you can get if you click this little bit here and look at your movement speed is 7. This is faster than most bandit parties can move. So if you do run into some bandits, just double back, go around them, and just manually control your character to avoid them, because at the moment you don't really want to be fighting them. Get yourself over to Poros and go into the trade. Next, click on this little hat here to get to your civilian outfit and flog the lot. Get rid of all of it. There we go, back to our normal outfit. And then what we want to do is go to miscellaneous, filter for highest value, and you want to buy all the hogs that they've got, as many as the sheep as you can. 1019, so we can't have any sheep just yet. Click on done, go straight into your inventory by pressing I. Control click this little hatchet here and you will slaughter the lot and turn it into peeled meat and peelings of meat. There you go, done. Into trade, back into miscellaneous again, flog the carcasses, flog the skins, and then you're going to buy the sheep and do the same thing. Done, and then again back in, peel the sheep, done, trade, get rid. Ta-da, 4,527 gold. Now that is a really, really good start. With this money, I would highly recommend that you head straight into this screen here and you buy yourself some gear, because you are a few slots missing on your armor, and that is not going to do very much at all. Our options are a bit limited though, so let's take some gloves. Let's take a hat. Can we afford that right now? Not really. Let's take the coif. We'll take the scarf. At least it's something. Auxiliary armor. We've got enough for the auxiliary armor. There you go. Now, that now gives you a good starting point to then go off and start doing the arenas, start doing the tournaments, and you're going to start winning a lot better equipment. You're going to be able to gear yourself out, gear your family out, gear your companions out. But that, to me, is the quickest and fastest start that you can get. Tip number 4. You're going to see some lords and ladies roaming the map with these big yellow exclamation marks next to them. Now, this is part of the quest, Investigate Narrator's Folly. You need to speak to 10 lords or ladies about a battle that happened way back in the day, which is the origins of this kind of story. So this is really irritating to do once you've actually devoted yourself as a mercenary or as a vassal to a regent, because you will be at war with people, they won't like you, and it'll be difficult to track them down. Try and get this done early on. Also, what this does is the quests that it kicks off, and they're repeating quests, so they continue going on, have opponents called conspirators and also raiders that you will be able to attack regularly. And as long as you've got a decent amount of troops, you'll be able to beat them quite handily, but they drop pretty decent gear, and it's worth quite a bit of money. So it's a nice little way of getting a side income and making sure there's always a battle to be had, a battle that you can definitely win. So I would definitely recommend focusing on this and getting it done as quickly as possible, because those follow-up quests are very valuable. Tip number 5. Perks are not permanent. If you look at your perks in your screen, you can see that you're not able to reselect them or change them in any way. However, there is a way to reset your perks so you can pick them again. So, for example, if I go to Era, Era's recently changed roles within my group, and she now leads the horse archers, or did so before she lost them all. So, unfortunately, when she was picking her riding skills, she neglected to pick the ones that would be good for horse archers. So what we need to do is change these skills. All you do is go to a town, any town, as long as it's a friendly town, go to the arena, click on Enter the Arena, speak to the tournament master, select this option here, the teachers who help people. You select, you would like to help hone the skills of one of your members of your clan, select the person that we want to do, select the attribute that that particular skill sits under. So for us, it's the horse riding, which is endurance. Click on riding. Then they'll tell you it's going to cost 7,880. So the more skill points you have in that particular skill, the more it will cost you. We say that's enough. We say we want to leave. Hold down tab to leave. Go into the character screen. If we select Era, we will see that her riding skills have been reset. And we are able then to put whatever we want on there as the skills for her. And there we go. And that is how you reset the perks for any of your clan members, any of your companions, family, and yourself. Tip number 6. What are the best starting troops to use to make sure you have an easy ride through the game? Well, I'll tell you. Now, I will go through some more detailed individual faction troop trees in other videos, but it's too much to go through in a tip video, so I'm just going to quickly tell you which troops are the easiest to use and the most effective, and then you can take it from there. So, for your infantry, you want to be using either, you've got a choice here, the Empire's Imperial... where is he? Legionary. There he is. So the Legionary is a pretty solid unit. He comes very well equipped, very well armoured, really tough unit. The only downside to the Legionary is his polearm. He has what's called a pilum. It's a one-shot throwing weapon. It's not really a polearm. It's only 114 in length, so it's not very good against horses. So against mass cavalry, the Legionaries will struggle because they just have no answer to cavalry. If you are playing and you are realising you're coming against a lot of cavalry, then your best option is the Valandian Sergeant. And he is... Yep. So very much like the Legionnaire, he is very well equipped, very well armoured, but he comes with a long fine steel spear, which is braceable. If you don't know what braceable means, watch my tournament video, it'll show you what braceable means. Effectively, you can take down horses in one shot. And if you've got a whole line of people doing it, it can absolutely decimate cavalry armies. Very good against cavalry, very good hold the line troops. You do need to mix them in with a not a pikeman, like a Volgier or a Imperial Meladin, is it? Let me see. Empire Menevliaton? One of these guys, anyway. So these are basically your shock troops. For both of them, you'll need to mix a few of these guys in, probably a ratio of 1 to 3, because they're the guys that will do the killing. The Legionary and the Sergeant are there to hold the line. But anyway, they're your frontline troops. Either go with the Imperial Legionary and put some Menevelian on there, or go with the Valadian Sergeants and use the Volgiers. Your archers, there's only one option really, and that's the Britannian Elites, which start off as highborn youth and then move all the way up to the Feigned Champions. These guys are absolute dominance on the battlefield. Not only are they really, really good with a bow, very accurate, very deadly, and they come with 2 quivers of ammunition as well. They're also very well equipped, as you can see. They've got some pretty beefy armor, and they carry a 2-handed sword. So after they're finished shooting, they can actually get stuck in as shock troops as well. Or if you're in a situation where you're overwhelmed with cavalry and the archers are just going to get cut to shreds, all you do is tell them to hold fire, combine them with one of your infantry units, and it just gives them a battery of shock troops to use as well. For your cavalry, you're going to want to go either back to the Empire and use... That's what I was looking for. I was looking for the Elite. Imperial Elite Cataphracts. These guys are potentially the best horsemen in the game. They've got super long spears, very well equipped, very well armoured, tough as nails, very difficult to kill. So these guys are an absolute win. They are the elite troop from the Empire line, so you get these from castle villages. Starts off as a recruit, but then immediately into a horse. I think you need a horse there for the upgrade. No. Nope. I don't think it even tells you in here if you need a horse for the upgrade. No, it doesn't. You do need a horse for the upgrade, though. So I think you need a horse for the upgrade, and I think once you get up here, you need a war horse, sorry, for the upgrade as well. So it does cost you a bit to get them there. The other option is the Valandian Banner Knight. That's not what I meant to click on. This guy, it's their version of Elite. This guy starts on a horse, and you'll have to purchase a war horse later on to get him into these final forms. These guys, again, armed to the teeth, hard as nails. They are pretty much on par with each other. Take either or. I think you're best off, if you're going with the Valadian Sergeants and the Volgiers, you might as well take the Banner Knights, because then you're getting all your troops from one place, one faction. The Empire, I'd go with the Empire if you're going to be losing a lot of men, because there's more villages to get them from. So if I zoom out, on the Valandian side, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 towns to get troops from. And I'm not going to count the castles, but you get the point. You've got that sort of area to recruit your troops from. The Empire, you've got a significantly larger area to get your troops from. Much, much, much more towns, many, many, many more castles. So the availability of troops in the Empire is going to be a lot higher than the availability of troops in Valandia. So that is up to you. And then finally, for your horse archers, you've only really got 2 options. Sturgia, Britannia, and Valandia don't have horse archers. Sturgia and Britannia do have skirmishing cavalry, which have got throwing weapons, but they're not really worth anything, because after their throwing weapons are spent, they're just crap cavalry, so don't really use those. The Khuzait and the Azarai are the only ones that have horse archers available from early ranks. The Empire does have a horse archer available, however, they are a tier 5 unit, so you have to go from recruit to archer to trained archer to veteran archer to then get him on a horse. And even when they get there, they're not the best anyway. So my personal favourite is the Khuzaits, and it is the Khuzait Khan's Guard. 2 stacks of ammunition, a very good bow, and then they get the glaive as well. The glaive is incredibly powerful. If you watch my tournament videos, you'll know how much they irritate me. It's a one-shot kill if you're riding past somebody because of the speed damage buffs. They're absolutely deadly, absolutely incredibly deadly, and really easy to get hold of, because you just go to the Khuzait lands, go around the castles, and you can end up with 40, 50 of them in one pass. So that's really good. Your other option, which is not a good option, but it is an option, is these guys, the Mamluk Heavy Cavalry. So these guys are more of an all-purpose cavalry as opposed to a horse archer. They only get 1 stack of ammunition, which is not good. The bow's okay. They're pretty well armoured. They come with a sword and shield as well, so once they're out of arrows, they can be more effective as cavalry. But if you're using them just as independent horse archers, they are going to run out of ammunition quite a lot. So they're like an inferior version of the Khan's Guard. Personally, I'd go with the Khan's Guard. So, to review, if I was going to build an army, I would use the Valadian Sergeants mixed in with the Valadian Volgiers. I would use the Banner Knights, and I would use the Khan's Guard as my horse archers, and then the Britannian Highborn Elite for my archers. Tip number 7, how to use the Encyclopaedia. So if you press N on your keyboard, it will open up the Encyclopaedia. We've just been using it previously to look at some troops, so you know you can use it for that. You can also use it for a few other things. The main ones I'm going to show you is A, how to find a wife, and B, how to hunt down some companions. Now, as you're moving through the game, I would highly recommend that any town that you visit, you jump into the tavern, just so you can tag a companion and their skills, because you'll automatically have met some companions. So when you go into this hero screen, for companions, you want to filter it by wanderer, because they're just wandering around, I suppose. You can see there some of them are already in my group, because that's the Fen for Ven. That's my group. And some of them are not, but they're highlighted. That's because I've met these individuals. So once you've met them, it will unlock their skills and abilities down here, and it'll tell you where they were last seen. Every time you visit a town, if there's an update to be had, it will update here. So it doesn't update in real time. So if you visit one town and it says they're in, I don't know, Marquez or something over the other side of the map, and you start traveling all the way over there, by the time you get there, they're not there anymore. Well, yes, because it's not a real-time updated position. It updates every time you visit a town. So you can see here there's a few people that I've seen, a few people that I've recruited. So if you're looking for a specific type of companion, like a smith, you can see here that there's a smith down here. You can click on him, and even though you've not met him, you can click on where he was last known, click on track. You'll see that now on my map down here, it's showing me the direction I need to travel in to get there, and that's where I'll head to pick up that companion. Once you speak to him, if you don't want to bring him into your group, that's fine. What will happen is on this screen, you will now have his image and his skill set, and it will still tell you where he is. And that is how you get your companions. So for a healer, somebody with skills in healing, you want to look for somebody that is either Bitter Draft, healer, obviously, or what's the other one? Willow bark. So willow bark, bitter draft, or healer, they tend to have good healing skills. It used to be that the guys called Golden and something else were basically amazing, and they had loads of skills and were really, really good. It's not the case anymore. Most of the companions now, their skills are completely random. You'll also get weird people that have got a combination of skills that you don't really need. Like I've got a engineer at the moment. It used to be that all engineers had crossbow skill, which made sense in a way because those skills are kind of overlapping. Now I've got an engineer that's got steward skill, which steward and riding. So he didn't really come with anything of interest. In fact, I'll show you him. The knowing. Yeah. So he had 96 riding, basically nothing else. 92 steward, a little bit of trade. Sorry, not steward, he had trade. So 92 engineering, 65 trade, and 96 riding. So absolutely nothing of any use except for the engineering. So I'm going to have to train him up to do some stuff. But anyway, that's how you find your companions. For a wife, or a husband, depending on what you chose to play, you want to select Lord or Lady and Noble. You want to select Not Married, Alive, and then obviously your requisite male or female, depending on which side you sat on. And it will show you everybody that you've met and not met. So if you click on them, if you've met them before, it will do the same thing as the companions. It'll tell you all about them. If you've never met them before, it won't tell you anything, not even their age, but it will tell you where they were last seen. Remember that these guys will not just be in towns, they will also be in castles. So if it says last seen near Lagater, but you go to Lagater who's not there, check the surrounding castles. It may well be that they're on their way there or they've already got there. And that's how you use the Encyclopaedia to find people and track them down. There's also this little bit at the back that says concepts. If you're struggling with a specific concept in the game or you don't understand how it works, such as clans, just click on there and it will give you a brief synopsis of what's happening. If you need more help, obviously there's always the Bannerlord wiki and YouTube. Tip number 8. This is a bit of a bug fix, but I'll show you it anyway because I think it's quite important. We've recently been defeated in battle and my men were scattered across the world. I've summoned them all back into my party again, but I have a little bit of a problem. So if I go into my party screen and I try assigning my surgeon is nowhere to be found. We've got Laureen, Ira, Sibylla, Niacin and Aethline. There's no surgeon there, even though if you look in my members, you go into my companions, the surgeon is in my party. If I go into my party screen, the surgeon is in my party, but he's not selectable. This is a known bug. What you need to do to get rid of this basically is just go to any town, click on the little plus symbol, leave everybody behind, click leave in settlement, leave, walk away from the settlement, go back, and you get this little message saying that you hear a companion and then their name, who was separated from you in battle, is currently in this settlement. Press OK. If there were multiple people that have this bug, the message would come up multiple times, and then you just go to whichever district they're in and just click take hero to party. Family members will be kept in the keep, whereas your companions will be in the tavern. Let's take them all back again. And now when we go back to our clan screen, we should be able to assign him as the surgeon. There he is. So that's just a known bug at the moment. It's not been fixed. I don't think they're going to fix it. But that can help you get your party members back to assignable roles. Tip number 9. Use bandits at the start of the game for cheap troops. Now, when I say cheap troops, that could be misleading, so let me explain. So if you look at my party at the moment, it is comprised mainly of bandits. And the reason for that is I have invested heavily in the roguery tree. So I have this skill here, which gives an extra 30% chance for villager caravans to surrender and for bandits to surrender. And then this one here, which means surrendering bandit parties will always offer to join my group. So there's a 30% chance increased that they're going to surrender, and when they do surrender, I will always get the opportunity of enveloping them into my troops. Now, this is great because what can happen after a big war, a big battle, I don't save scum, so if I lose, I lose. I then just roam around and find more troops. And being able to absorb large groups of looters, sea raiders, forest bandits, and mountain bandits can really help you get an army back together again really, really quickly. So I'll show you what happens. So again, I've lost a battle recently, so I'm a bit low on troops. So if I approach this group of sea raiders, they should surrender. Apparently my spouse is pregnant. That's always good. So I can select this option, very well you may join us. Now, you don't have to take all of them if you don't want. You can cherry pick the ones that you want. But if we take a look at these Sea Raiders, you can see that they've got a Veteran Warrior Axe, a round shield, Raider throwing axes, and some pretty decent mid-tier armor. Now, these are great throwaway troops because this has cost me nothing. So I'm getting like 19 troops here. It's cost me nothing to recruit them, just a threat of killing them. Now, a point of note is they do get paid the same as a normal troop. So here, if you look at this Vilga recruit, he gets 3 gold per day. And if you look at this Hillman, he gets 3 gold per day. If you look at this Sea Raider, he gets 3 gold per day. So as much as they don't cost anything to recruit, they do cost money to maintain. So don't think they're free, they're not free, but they are cheaper to get hold of than normal troops are. Because if you've got normal troops, you would have to pay a recruitment fee. So if we head down to this city here, Gayland, I think the Heart's just taken all the recruits, so I might not be able to show you what I wanted to show you. Ah, yes, still can. So even for a recruit, it still costs you 16 gold to recruit them. For a T3, it would cost you 80 gold, and for a Tier 4, it would cost you 160 gold. So you can see that we save considerable amounts of money by recruiting bandits. Now, a note on bandits, some bandits are better than others. Sea Raiders make excellent infantry, especially when you get them to the chief level. What else? Forest bandits make great archers. They have the same bows as some of the high-level elite bowmen of the Battalion. So if you look at... just get here. Forest bandits. Bandit boss. He's got a woodland yew bow. And he's got a woodland longbow. And if you look at Britannia, wherever they've gone, there they are. He's got a lowland longbow, which is actually a lesser weapon. So he's got a woodland longbow. So you see they've got the same bows as the Fiends. The same bow as the Fiend champions. So the Forest Bandits have got the same equipment as these guys. So they're really accurate, they're really strong, they just haven't got the same armor and close combat capabilities, so do use them as archers. Mountain Bandits can be converted into skirmishing cavalry. So, Mountain Bandits, and you want the Highwaymen. So they can be converted into skirmishing cavalry. They have broad blade javelins, long spears. The problem is their makeshift shields let them down, because they won't stand up to much. It's only got 170 hit points. If it goes up against the Banner Knight, that Banner Knight will shatter that shield in one charge. So they're throwaway troops. So you can pick them up for nothing, because it doesn't cost you anything to take them if you've let them live. But then you will have to pay their wages up until the point you get them killed. But it can be a great way of replenishing an army when you've been battered and bruised and you're moving from one place to another. Just catch a few decent-sized bandit groups and refill your troops. If you get a particular skill from the roguery tree, this one here, two-faced, I didn't. I took deep pockets because I do a lot of tournament fighting and I wanted the troop wages to be reduced. If you take this one, you'll also get no morale loss for converting bandit prisoners. Personally, I don't see the use in that one. I prefer the lower wages and the amount of bettings in tournaments to be doubled. Tip number 10. Bandits have difficulty ratings. Not official difficulty ratings by Tailworlds or anything like that, but they do have different difficulty ratings. So if I was to put my own rating on what I think they are, I would do it in this order. So looters would be 5th, because they're just terrible. Even though if you take an equal number of recruits and put them against an equal number of looters, the recruits will lose, simply because the looters have sniper rock fire, and your troops don't. So anyway, looters, bottom of the barrel, T5, not really worth anything. Which is why you also don't get much out of killing them. You get a couple of 100 gold and some menial equipment. Next up, I'd say, is the Desert Bandits. They have usually a few mounted, a few on foot. They're boating guys on foot. They're nothing. They've got hardly any armor. They practically fall over as soon as you hit them. And again, the loot from them is not that great. So Desert Bandits would come in a solid 4th. The Steppe Bandits would come in 3rd. Simply because, again, they use a lot of horses, so they're quite easy to manipulate. And if you've got a bunch of archers, you'll take them down quite easily. Not really that much of a threat. And the loot from them is mid-tier. The Second most difficult would be the Forest Bandits. The Forest Bandits are quite difficult en masse. They're very accurate with their shots, and as I've shown you in previous tips, they have the same bows as the Fane Champions, so they do hit hard and they can knock you out quite easily. So if you're not equipped with shields and ready to do a shield wall charge, then you're probably going to lose some men fighting those guys. And the rewards are quite well. You tend to get some quite high-end bows, some decent quivers from them, and usually some decent armor as well, battalion-themed armor. So yeah, they're the second most difficult. And then the most difficult is the Sea Raiders. So these guys. And if you've ever been in their hideouts with low-level troops and seen them get absolutely decimated, you'll know why. You know, these guys are tough as nails. The rewards from them are really strong shields, really strong javelins and axes, some pretty decent armors. You get paid quite a bit for taking them out. Overall, they're a really, really solid unit, and you get really rewarded for doing them. So, in order, Sea Raiders the toughest, then Forest Bandits, then Steppe Bandits, then Desert Bandits, and then Looters at the bottom. So just be aware of that whenever you're running about. If you've got the same number of men as it's in that Sea Raiders group, maybe don't charge them, because chances are you'll lose. Whereas if it was a Looters group, as long as you're going to get involved, you should be fine. If it was a Forest Bandits group, it's a bit iffish. If it was Steppe or Desert Bandits, well, Steppe Bandits, you probably wouldn't catch them anyway. They'll only fight you when the numbers are on their side, and they're faster than you are. So, yeah, that's my last tip. Be careful what bandits you fight, depending on what you're looking for. If you want to get money and gear, go for the Sea Raiders. If you just want to get people as prisoners and stuff like that, then go for the Looters. They'll surrender most of the time anyway. And that's it.